Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to the Misericorde demo. We are having a bath at the moment and thinking that everybody is bad here because they're blaspheming and shit. So we're going to continue from here. We're throwing off the shackles of conformity today and drinking lemon iced tea instead of coffee. Apologies. Anyway, let's carry on. Even if I was not completely refreshed in spirit, the bath certainly did wonders for me physically. I could no longer count each individual bone in my body aching, at the very least. The noon bell rang. I stood up in the bath, scanning around for a towel of some sort. I spotted one, a simple piece of linen cloth, folded next to the habit Moira had washed for me. I stepped out of the bath while the bell was ringing and dropped to my knees. Resting my elbows against the edge of the tub with my hands clasped together, I began reciting the Psalms for Sext. Cantissime gradum. Oh man, never mind. Hello? I wheeled around with a start, twisting it into an uncomfortable position, attempting to cover my shame and turn my face to face my visitor at the same time. Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. I was just coming to collect you for luncheon. It's alright, I was just reciting the office. Really? Which one? Sext. The noon office. Do you not? Oh yes. Well, since we break for luncheon at midday, we roll that one into prime. This was deeply embarrassing for several reasons. I rose to my feet, strategically covering myself. Moira politely held a hand in front of her eyes. Did I interrupt it then? In the chapel? I would never blame you for it in that sense, but I began drying myself off with the towel, pressing it against my hair gently and hastily running it along my body. I must confess that I'm a little behind on all the offices today. I slept through matins as well. Matins? Oh, don't worry yourself about that. We roll matins into prime as well. What? I flung the towel to the ground in shock, so dismayed I was. Moira, still holding her hand in front of her face, let out a nervous giggle. It's fairly normal as far as I know. We have morning prayer and evening prayer. If we spend all day following the hours to the letter, we never get anything done. Or any sleep at all. Were you really getting up in the middle of the night to pray? Yes. And dropping everything to recite psalms throughout your day? Yes. My goodness, that's so unfair. The superior never told you about how monasteries condense the hours? The bishop didn't either? No. I find it hard to believe, to be perfectly honest. I began to put my fresh clothes on. They smelled and felt lovely. Little dried leaves fell out of the sleeves and robe as I lifted them. I bent down to pick one of them up after I'd slid the cloak over my head. Those are from our garden. Aren't they nice? Extremely so. You really don't recite the hours as written? This isn't, a prank? Why would I pull a prank on you? I have no idea. The superior just put the idea in my head, I suppose. At morning prayer. Oh, of course. Flora's the one to watch out for. She's full of youthful vigour. Or Darcy. Or, well, Catherine. Or Margaret. She looks sheepish. I can see why you might be wary of practical jokes. But please believe me when I tell you that condensing the hours in morning and evening prayer is fairly standard around monasteries these days. In fact, I think it might have been for a long while now. I suppose I'd have no way of knowing otherwise. And it's accepted? I don't think anyone's ever gone to hell for rearranging their calendar, if that's what you're asking. Are you dressed now? Just about. Moira lifted her hand from her eyes. Now, would you look at that? Fresh as anything. Thank you very much for washing them. Oh, don't mention it. Hopefully you're feeling a bit better now. Or once we get some lunch in you, you'll be as good as new, I reckon. I'm looking forward to it, but, this might sound silly, but if I go to evening prayer tonight and do the rest of the hours, I still won't have caught up. Would you mind if I at least finish Sext? No, not at all. Thank you very much. Latin words. I've never actually prayed for an audience. Would you like me to join you? Yes. That'd be lovely, actually. Moira beamed. We walked over to the tub I'd been using. She kneeled as I'd been kneeling earlier, and I joined her. The pleasant scent of the leaves in the bath still lingered above the water. Yeah. Sorry about the noisy bottle. I should have used a cup, like a normal person. We completed the liturgy and left in silence. I felt bolstered by the light of prayer, and the bath and fresh clothes had left me feeling warm and content. Moira strode in front of me, leading me to the rectory. That's a funny word, rectory. Sorry. When we arrived, I took a deep breath. Bathing in prayer rejuvenated my body and spirit, but I was still nervous about facing everyone. Both because of the harrowing events of the morning, but because of my mission. I hadn't forgotten, I just had no idea how to begin. The rectory was a long room with a high ceiling. A large age table already laden with plates around the length of the room. All the other sisters were there, and the superior was standing at the head of the table, appearing to hold court. Ah, wonderful. Are you feeling any better? Yes, very much so. Moira beamed and gently guided me to the foot of the table where a stool was waiting. Oh, I couldn't. Please sit, so that everyone may be introduced to you. Properly this time. This is the last thing I wanted, to be perfectly honest, but I obeyed. You smell nice. Thanks. You've already met Sister Darcy, of course. She tends to the garden and livestock and is something of an alchemist. I prefer the title Alchevisionist. Of course. Sitting next to her is Eustace. Charmed. Eustace is our sacristan and librarian. We actually have... I'm learning a lot of new words in this visual novel so far. Well, by learning I mean hearing, but I don't know what they mean. Anyway, we actually have a great many rare books stored here that need to be taken care of. And read, most importantly. Not all of them have been catalogued. I'm sure you and Eustace will get to know each other very well. She'll be of great use to you as our new chronicler. This is Sister Flora. She's our youngest oblet. She's 17. I'm 19. Are you really? My goodness, time flies. I wish. I've been stuck here for 2 years now. Now really? Stuck? Yeah, stuck. Wow. She's not yet found her calling, but the youthful spirit of rebellion gives Flora the energy to help out with various tasks around the Abbey. You've met Moira already, of course. Yes, indeed. Moira is our infirmary, but also pulls double weight as our chamberlain and hosteler in the rare occasions we have visitors. I'm the closest thing to a doctor here without, well, being a doctor, you know. I don't think... Did they say it was in the 1400s? I don't think having a 1400s doctor is going to help that much. Without having a man here, you mean? And thank goodness for that, eh? A polite laugh went around the table. On your right, Hedwig, his sister Marta. Marta has actually had many roles here, even before I was the prior. She was the chronicler before our last, and has also been our cantor. You can just say that I'm old, it's alright. I wouldn't dream of it. You have much wisdom and many surprises left in you, Sister Marta. What do you do nowadays? I try to enjoy what's left of my life, dear. You run the cellars, you mean? I said what I said. And a damn fine job of running the cellar you do, I'd say. This is Sister Charity, who's rather fittingly our head almoner. Although, I don't know what that is either. Although there's not much to be done around here, I'm afraid. So mostly I strive to do the same as Marta here. You help in the cellars? I enjoy life. They're piss heads. Next is Sister Margaret. We've met already. Margaret is another almoner, and she also helps in the cellars. I'm a presenter as well. Help Catherine a lot with her writing. Margaret is very talented. She's also our first foreign oblet. Thank you very much for explaining that on my behalf, Soup. I'm sure Hedwig hadn't noticed. Anyway, it's not completely true. It is completely not true, in fact. Ah, Sister Adela. I thought you were born in Spain. I indeed was born in Spain, which is another country. I was born in Spain as well. What I meant was, this should be good. Our first oblate from outside the usual... Here, the typical sphere of people who devote themselves to monastic life. Whole world's a sphere, boss. That's so true, Darcy. And I'm simply continuing the tradition of spreading the faith around the whole globe. Which is the entire purpose of the thing, or so I'm told. I'm Irish. That's great, Moira. I apologise, I didn't mean to offend. I simply meant, no offence taken, sir. I'm sure Hedwig knew what you meant. Wow, hard act to follow. You have, of course, met Catherine. Her name is spelt with a K, but when speaking, we referred to her as Catherine I. Our old chronicler was called Catherine 2. Catherine 1, Catherine 2. Like B1 and B2. We had a little contest for it, and Catherine 2 was very gracious in defeat. A crying shame what happened to her. Catherine is our... Come to think of it, Catherine, what is your title? I dabble. Catherine's my favourite. This is Sister Adela. She was actually our newest oblet, before you decided to join the congregation. That's right. I'm moving up the social ladder. Adela is not really settled into a role yet. Like Flora, she helps out wherever she can. And finally, we have met already. I gulped. I'm the prior, my second in command. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm from Wales. Thank you, Darcy. Well, now that we're all caught up, everyone's heads bowed instantaneously. I hastily lowered my head as well to join in the hushed whispers. Let us eat. On my plate were 2 thick slices of bread, far thicker than I'd ever been given in my cell. There was some kind of boiled meat and a crumbly hunk of white cheese. I glanced around. Everyone was already digging in with their fingers. I followed suit, starting with the bread. It was light and fluffy, with a crisp crust. A finger appeared above my plate suddenly. Duck. What? The meat, it's duck. With herbs. From your garden? That's right. I pinched off a piece and marvelled at how juicy it was. I put it in my mouth and was overwhelmed. Wow. I helped. Yeah, you killed the duck. Well, yeah. Because you cry if you have to do it. That's right. I raise them and name them and love them. You really shouldn't do that for starters. Name them. Yes, or love them. I'm good at names is the thing. That's true. And once I've named something, it's impossible not to love it. What was this duck's name? I'd offer my compliments. If they were still alive, anyways. No clue. She doesn't let me tell her which ones are being slaughtered. Hang on, but you'd still... Yeah, she figures it out eventually when she checks in on the animals. Look, it makes sense. How does it make sense, Darcy? I'm going to be a little sad about it no matter what, but I can't stop it from happening. But I can put it off, so I'm not sad about it at lunch, which is a horrible time to be sad. Does knowing you're going to be sad later not make you sad now? No. Why? Because the duck tastes good. Nobody seemed to be able to argue with that logic. What fucking logic? There's no logic to be had. That's our Darcy. Everyone continued eating in silence for a moment. How do you tell the difference between animals? Knowledge. I shuddered involuntarily all of a sudden as I felt a hand beneath the table tapping my knee. I looked over to my right at Marta, who smirked. She tapped my knee again as the others continued their conversation. Is it difficult killing the ducks? Not really. They're not much of a match for me, if I'm being honest. It's not a fight. I suppose you have a knife in that situation. I assure you, I could easily defeat a duck even without a knife. What about 2 ducks? What about a horse-sized duck? Or 100 duck-sized horses? Absolutely. 3? Again, definitely. I think you're all really overestimating how much damage a duck can do to me. I'm an adult woman. The tapping on my knee continued. She's still smirking, tilting her head down, indicating that I should look lower. I did, and saw she was holding a handful of something. Understanding finally, I let out my hand. She nodded and returned to her meal. Ducks can be really mean. Have you ever seen an angry duck? Yes. They don't love being killed, funnily enough. What, they can, see you coming? They know they're about to die? When they see Eustace, they know they're fucked. I mean, I don't have to ambush them, if that's what you're wondering. They usually figure it out by the time I pick them up by the neck and put them on the chopping block, though. How would one sneakily attack a duck? Very easily, probably. They are ducks. They're very good at turning their head at a huge angle, though, so they probably see you coming. But you don't attack them in that way. Correct. Why not? Again, I feel like you're all severely overestimating the power of a single duck and underestimating me. A fully grown human person. How many ducks would it take before you think you'd lose? I can defeat every duck. It's simply not a problem for me. Every duck in the world? Every duck? Come on. I can defeat infinite ducks. They are small and have little necks. I could kill a duck by accident. It simply doesn't require any measurable amount of my strength. You get tired eventually. I would not. You're talking as if they're ants. I think it requires a little more energy to kill a duck than an insect. Especially if there are a lot of them at once. I would swing my arms. I would kick out my legs. A group of ducks would crumple immediately in a fight against me. Okay, now I'm thinking about you killing a lot of ducks, and it's making me really sad because I'm imagining you killing all the ducks that I'm looking after with spin kicks and punches, and I love those ducks. And I hate this conversation now. I'm sorry, Darcy. I didn't mean to upset you. We're speaking hypothetically here. I'm not going to kill all of your ducks. That's okay. Thank you, Eustace. She's not going to kill them all at once anyway. Just the ones we need for food. See, she's backpedaling. She thought we wouldn't notice. Hedwig. Madam? She stood up holding her empty plate. I should like to see you in my office when you finish eating. I didn't know what they were. I just stuck my hand out. I beg your pardon? Oh, nothing. Silence. They're just dried apples, dear. Oh. What? Come on, Marta, give me some too. Absolutely not. You've been a little cunt lately. Whoa! Marta! Crone. Gutter snipe. Ronyon. That's... enough. The superior looked irritated. Flora and Marta looked as if they were having a grand old time. Hedwig, I'd just like to speak with you privately about your new duties as chronicler, now that you're feeling better. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. One of the others will show you where my office is when you're ready. She strode out of the room magnanimously. Take your time. Enjoy the rest of your luncheon. I started nibbling on some cheese. Everyone was watching me. I'm happy to share the apples, if you'd all like. There was a dull roar of agreement from everyone in the room, all except for Angela, who'd been pretending to ignore everyone for the entire meal. I broke up the handful of dried fruit into 2 piles and passed them to either side of me, keeping 1 piece for myself. Thank you kindly. So now that the elder ma'am is gone, do tell us about yourself. I realised that even now, after I had no more candid fruits to give, everyone in the room was staring at me with intense interest. Oh, well, I don't know what I could say that I didn't say this morning. What did you say this morning? I must admit, wiping up your sick has overridden any memory of what you'd said prior. Sorry. Catherine shrugged, smirking. Margaret waved a hand. Gave us a chance to... Ow! A chance to reflect on the nature of servitude to God, and so on. I could see Angela raising one of her eyebrows out of the corner of my eye. What's it like, being outside of the cell? Well, this is very nice. I'm so glad to hear that. She had some trouble with the stairs, but got the hang of them quickly. I imagine you probably have some trouble with stairs if you've been locked in a little room for that long. Yes, we're locked in a much bigger room, aren't we? With each other for company. Locked is a strong word, dear. You're right, as usual. We aren't locked in. The hill is more of a moat. Honestly, you sound just like Flora sometimes. Or a hill. I'm not sure the metaphor is necessary. Metaphor? That's a big word. As expected, however, from our resident library duck slaughterer. On the subject of ducks, I was merely speaking in hypotheticals. Oh, that's another good word. What does hypothetical mean, Eustace? I regret saying anything. I'm being earnest. It means mind control. You're thinking of hypnosis. 3 for 3. A loud way went up around the table. Darcy, let me out, please. Eustace scooted her chair back with a loud squeak and scurried out of the room. Oh, come on, Eustace. Eustace, please come back. Perhaps this is rich of me to say, but I think you lot don't know when to lay off sometimes. I do not understand in this case. 1 minute she's talking about fighting ducks, but now she's upset we're joking about fancy words. Bad timing, I think. She's very torn up. We all are. It's horrible. Hedwig, dear, if you don't know... I know. As I said, she was joking about killing ducks. I would have thought that would have been worse than joking about words. You're young. It's never the obvious thing that reminds some folk of grief past. Eustace is the librarian, and Catherine was the chronicler, of course. Peas in a pod they were. Not just them. We all miss her very much. It's not a competition. Flora looked as if she was about to mouth off in response, but at that moment, Eustace re-entered the room carrying a large wooden bowl. What the hell happened in there? We were wondering where you'd gotten off to. We were worried you were upset. Eustace said nothing as she walked to the table with a bowl, smiling gently. That's playing dirty, yes. I've no idea what you're talking about. I forgot I made this to celebrate our newcomer, that's all. I believe you. Gay lead? After you've all had candied apple? Goodness. What's gay lead? Puddin'. Eustace ladled out the sweet-smelling treat onto everyone's plates. When it was Angela's turn to be offered some, however, she pushed her chair back and stood up from the table. Joining the jolting the entire thing forward and causing everyone's plates to wobble. Darcy and Moira had to hold onto their dishes to keep them from spilling over onto their robes. Is everything alright, Angela? No. With a glare that seemed to pass through every pair of eyes in the room, Angela stalked out of the rectory hall. Something tells me she won't be coming back with pudding. I was in considerably higher spirits after eating. I excused myself after finishing the gay lead. I got a little self-conscious about how long I was taking to meet the superior, even though there had been a few awkward moments. I didn't really want the conversation to end. Still, feeling like I should be responsible and punctual, I excused myself part way through and continued discussion about what animals Eustace could best in hand-to-hand combat. Darcy helpfully volunteered to show me to the office. I was on the first floor, further down the hallway. She'd taken me down on the way to the kitchen and bath. Here you go. Thank you. And thank you again for the mint as well. And for showing me around before. Oh, I helped cook lunch. Oh, well, thank you for that as well. I didn't make all of it, but enough that it's sad not to hear a thank you from the others, and it's nice to hear it from you. Well, in I go. In you go. Darcy's fun. Enter. I opened the door and slipped inside. Darcy watched me with a big grin still plastered on her face. The superior's office was small, but meticulously kept. It was rather plush compared to the rest of the rooms I'd seen so far. A grand window looked out into the garden, and there was a door off to the left that I presumed to lead to a private bedchamber. The superior herself sat at a thick oaken desk in a rather ornate chair. How are you feeling? Much better, thank you. Good. Good. Any leads yet? Leads? Any idea who could have killed Catherine yet? Any hints at all? Something to follow up on? No. That's a pity. Mother Superior, I'd been out of my cell for all of 6 hours, if that. For that much time I was ill, and then asleep, and then alone in a bathtub. What clues could you expect me to have already? Did you really think someone would slip up and tell me over lunch? No. I suppose I shouldn't have counted on anything quite so miraculous as happening. She turned around and stepped toward the large window. Some thorny bushes were growing underneath, and a few trees dotted the path between the building and the garden. Light and shadow danced around her habit as she paced back and forth slowly. I don't even know how Catherine died. I've heard some mournful whispers from the sisters I've met, but I haven't had a clue as to what actually happened. When did she die? How? Where's the body? She was found in the cloister. She was laying on her back, with a sword plunged into the earth just above her. So that's what was in the grass. I thought it was a crucifix. Yes. No one, least of me, could bear to remove it. It's become something of a monument to Catherine, I suppose. Rather grim. A bloodied sword feels like an awful way to remember someone. You'll get no argument from me, but these women are strange sometimes. Even if none of them was a murderer. That aside, the blade is actually clean. It is? Yes. When we found the stable boy hiding in the yard, his shirt was covered in blood, as if he'd hastily wiped it down before attempting to flee. Who found the body? Catherine was discovered by Sister Charity on one of her morning walks, the round woman you saw at lunch. Don't call someone round. I don't mean it as an insult. What did that just say? What? What happened with Catherine's body? If you're hoping to play surgeon and examine her for clothes, I'm afraid she's already been interred. I understand. This was actually a small relief. As determined as I was to find Catherine's killer and bring them to justice, a dead body was the last thing I wanted to see. Where was she buried? The cemetery is a short hike from here on the hill. I can have one of the sisters show you there, should you feel the need to visit. Say a few words. Not that you could have known her, I suppose. What a great idea. What if the murderer, since you don't believe it was the suspicious boy with the blood on his shirt, decides to off me as well? Perhaps while taking me on a pleasant hike. Alone. Up to the cemetery. I must say, it feels rather difficult involving myself with the others when you've directed me to spy on them. You make it sound so ugly. We're seeking justice. I had no choice in the matter. I'm sticking my neck out based on your intuition. Let's not fight about it. What's done is done. You're no longer an anchoress. You're free to do whatever you wish once the killer is captured. I was perfectly happy where I was. Don't be ridiculous. You might as well have been a prisoner. If that was so, I'd have been your prisoner. I really, truly do not want to fight about this. Yes, so you keep saying every time I question something. Stop giving me this insolence. By God, Where is the awkward little titmouse that introduced herself to the service this morning? She's standing in front of you, rather upset about the situation she's been thrust into. You're being naught but a bratty child. A woman, a member of our family, had her bloody head cut off. And all you can think about is your own comfort? These people are not my family, you least of all. I am your superior. I am your abbess. You are under my wing, and you do as I say. I've been accommodating as kind as I possibly can in asking for your assistance, but make no mistake. I do not need to ask, nor will I in future if I require something of you. Latin. I am neither ant nor sluggard, abbess. I will respect your wishes as my superior, but I am not a soldier to be commanded without remark. Are you surprised? I must admit I'm surprised myself at this moment as well. Maybe my humours were still off kilter. Maybe I was tired of feeling meek and embarrassed all morning. Perhaps I, free from myself for the first time in many years, was trying out new behaviours to see how they fit me, the way one tries on a new cloak at the market. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something else. Do you think Darcy could have been right when she said that this place was haunted? I'm sorry, once again I'm being unfair. Please try to understand, I have so much love for this place. These halls are my responsibility, and if it falls apart, I don't know what I'd do. If you truly believe the stable boy did not do it, I could so easily throw him to the wolves. But don't you see? I do not mean to throw you to them in his place. I mean to take a more difficult path here. I would rather stake my reputation on seeking the truth than condemn an innocent boy for my own gain. It would not be right. I understand. I can feel myself becoming smaller, meeker again. If you want me to start truly investigating things, I need somewhere to start. I can't just hope to stumble into the answer. May I speak with the accused, the stable boy and the hospitalum? An obvious but nonetheless excellent idea. I felt so trapped by my position leading the convent, despite this investigation ultimately being my responsibility. I didn't dare think of involving myself so directly, but you can speak with him. I'll take you to the hospitalum. In secret, of course. I'll arrange a time and send you under the pretense of a more chronicler business. I would still pose my first question to you again, however. Think hard. Has anything stuck out as particularly unusual to you? Everything is unusual to me. I was fighting back tears now. Meek. Everything. Did Catherine tell you I barely made it down the stairs this morning? In my mind I knew what stairs were, but I can't remember if I'd actually walked up or down any before today. It will take some time to adjust. I'm not sure if I'll ever fully adjust. Have faith. If I could offer one small observation at least, if there's anything I find strange, it's how calm everyone seems. So you felt it too. I'm glad it was not just my own superstition. Everyone seems happy, especially at luncheon. They were joking, laughing. I suppose I have no way of truly knowing, but the congregation certainly isn't behaving like I'd expect them to, knowing one of them had just died. It is odd, isn't it? Yes, I suppose your instincts weren't wrong. I'm in asking for my help. I changed the subject quickly. I did not want the superior to think I was happy with their choice and my situation. God forbid. Oh, but question. Is it true the hours are compressed here? A morning service and an evening office that encompasses every office? Yes. That is fairly standard in most monastic communities nowadays. Why didn't you tell me that? My cell wasn't far away. You know how to use the stairs. The bishop forbade it. Why? Because an anchorite's entire purpose is to do the things normal people cannot. She was right. I tensed and untensed my hands a few times, unsure what to do with myself. I was to bear burdens no one else was expected to, all alone in there. You thought otherwise? I don't know. I suppose I never really considered it. I just read scripture and theology all the time. I had an idea in my mind of what an abbey was supposed to look like, and I thought even if my role was different, everyone else would be at least similar. Things are very different when you have responsibilities. The day-to-day tasks of earthly life, much as the monastery reduces them to their basics, are still quite time-consuming. Animals must be tended to, food must be grown and prepared, work arises and must be done. Besides, you had your own work to do. You had books to copy, scripture to commit to memory, prayers for the townspeople to amplify. What? You were given written prayers to say for people. That is one of the core duties of an anchorite. I was given no such thing. Now is a very poor time for jokes. I'm being completely serious. I have no idea what you're talking about. I copied books, I prayed the hours. I was never given anything else to pray for, save the occasional visitor to the Hagioscope's prayers. She gave me a piercing, icy glare. Then, as if a set of strings holding her upright had been cut, she collapsed into her chair. I don't understand. We're very far away from the nearest village or town here. Nonetheless, we are here and we serve the people of Calborough and their needs. Offer them help with their prayers. Of course. I would have happily done so if I'd received any. Because we're up on this hill, we send supplies from the village. Things we can't grow ourselves, essentials, the occasional holiday luxuries and so on. She reached down to the drawer under her desk, pulling out 2 small cups and a carafe. She uncorked the container and poured some dark liquid in both cups. Wine. Drink up. She slid one of the cups towards me with her own. I took it gingerly. I had, of course, had wine before, but this smelt different. This is nicer than anything you've had brought to you, I'd wager. One of the aforementioned occasional luxuries. Drink it. Please. I braved a sip. She was right, it was different. For one thing, it was quite strong. The superior took a big swig of hers and continued, When you were brought here and made to take the vows, one of the first things that crossed my mind was how inconvenient it would be to expect the people of the village to trek up here every time they needed spiritual aid. Why, it'd be positively cruel to make children walk all the way to the anchoress themselves. Old men with walking sticks. You get the picture. And since we're all the way up here on this lonely hill, I thought, why, I know what would make things easier. I offered the townsfolk a simple idea. They're an educated sort down there, you see. Not like us. Or, well, she waved her cup toward the door. More like them. So I told the people to write their prayers down. Give them to the boy who brings our supplies. We'll sort through them and pass them on to the anchoress here. And did they? I saw the envelopes, yes. Many times. I don't understand. The abbess took a final pull from her cup and slammed it back onto the desk. Giving them to you was Catherine's responsibility. Ooh, the plot thickens. Oh shit. That why she was killed? She was killed because she wasn't passing on the prayers? Why wasn't she passing on the prayers? Is the town evil? Interesting. Alright, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today. That's a fantastic cliffhanger to leave the episode on, isn't it? Yes, it is. Thank you for agreeing. La la la. Thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you in the next one.